Jack had always been the one who woke early on the farm. It was his responsibility to feed the animals, milk the cows, and take care of Thunder, the horse who had been a part of the family since Jack was just a boy. His father had always been the one to ride Thunder, showing Jack the ropes. But now, with his father gone to the city in search of work, it was Jack's turn to carry the weight of the farm. The days had felt longer since his father left. His mother had always been distant, busy with her own struggles. Jack wasn't angry with her, but he couldn't help but feel the absence of his father. They had been partners in every task on the farm. Now, it was all on him. He walked to the stables, feeling the cold morning air sting his cheeks. The clouds hung low in the sky, and a subtle sense of unease gnawed at him. There was something different about this morning. The world seemed quieter. Thunder was waiting for him, as always, standing in the stable, his mane hanging loosely over his strong neck. Jack knew Thunder wasn't just a horse. He was Jack's constant. Thunder was the one who had kept him company in his loneliest moments, the one who had listened to his stories, and the one who had helped him find solace in the rhythm of the ride. Jack had a special bond with Thunder. The horse wasn't just an animal to him, he was family. But this morning felt different. There was an unusual tension in the air that made the bond between them feel heavier than usual. "You ready for today?" Jack asked, his voice almost lost in the wind. Thunder snorted, his ears flicking back, and Jack took that as a yes. They had been through plenty together, but something about the way Thunder moved today felt different. The horse seemed more alert, more aware. As Jack saddled him, his thoughts wandered to the challenges ahead. There was still so much to do on the farm. The fence needed repairing, the barn needed a new roof, and there was the ever-present fear that they might lose the farm if things didn't turn around soon. "Let's take a ride. I need to clear my head," Jack muttered, as if talking to himself. With that, Jack led Thunder out of the stable and mounted him, feeling the weight of the saddle settle into place. Together, they rode into the forest. The ride through the forest was something Jack had always loved. The towering trees seemed to swallow the sounds of the world, creating an atmosphere of quiet reflection. It was a place where Jack could let his mind wander, where he could forget about the weight of the farm, the missing father, and the mounting responsibilities. The trees were starting to change color, their once green leaves turning shades of orange and gold. It was beautiful, but Jack barely noticed. His mind was too occupied with the thought of the farm. His father had left with promises of coming back with enough money to fix everything, but Jack wasn't sure when that would happen. He knew that the farm couldn't survive on promises. "Thunder, I don't know how much longer we can keep this up," Jack muttered to the horse. Thunder's ears flicked back, as if listening. "I can't do this alone. I need help, but I don't know who to ask." The forest was quiet, save for the occasional rustling of leaves under Thunder's hooves. Jack had always felt a strange sense of comfort in the stillness of the woods, but today it felt more isolating. There was a tension in the air, a feeling that something was about to happen. Jack pulled on the reins, guiding Thunder toward the old stone bridge. It was a landmark in the forest, something his father had often pointed out during their rides. Jack couldn't remember a time when he hadn't crossed that bridge. The old stones had been there long before him, and they would likely remain long after he was gone. As they crossed the bridge, Jack felt an odd sense of nostalgia. His father had taught him to be brave, to face challenges head-on, but Jack was no longer sure what he was supposed to be brave for. Was it for the farm? Was it for his father? Or was it just for the sake of surviving? As they continued down the trail, the sky darkened, the clouds had thickened, and the wind had started to pick up. Thunder's pace quickened as if the horse sensed the change in the weather. Jack pulled on the reins, but Thunder wasn't slowing down. The horse's muscles rippled beneath him, and Jack could feel the adrenaline building. "Thunder, what's going on?" Jack muttered under his breath, but Thunder paid him no mind. The horse's pace continued to increase, and Jack could feel the world around him growing more dangerous. Then suddenly, Thunder came to a halt, his hooves skidding slightly on the wet earth. Jack was thrown forward, barely managing to catch himself on the horse's neck. He looked up, startled by the sudden change. "What is it, boy?" Jack whispered, but Thunder didn't respond. The horse stood still, his body tense, his ears flicking toward the trees. Jack followed Thunder's gaze and saw something in the shadows. A movement, something large and dark. A low growl echoed through the forest. Jack's blood ran cold, His heart pounded in his chest as he slowly turned his head, trying to locate the source of the sound. And then he saw it. A massive bear, its eyes glowing in the dim light, its massive form emerging from the trees. The bear let out another growl, a warning, and then it started to move toward them. Jack's mind raced. He had heard stories of bears in the forest, but he never thought he would actually encounter one. His father had always warned him to stay away from the woods during certain seasons, but Jack had never taken it seriously. Now, he wished he had. Fear gripped Jack's chest, but he knew he couldn't afford to panic. Thunder was already on edge, his body trembling beneath Jack. Jack could feel the horse's heartbeat, each thud of it matching his own. "Thunder! We need to go! Now!" Jack shouted, his voice barely audible over the storm that was beginning to pick up. Without waiting for a reply, Jack spurred Thunder into action. The horse shot forward, galloping as fast as he could. The bear was quick, though, and it followed, its massive paws tearing into the earth as it closed the gap between them. Jack leaned low over Thunder's neck, urging the horse to go faster. They burst through the underbrush, the trees blurring by as they raced through the forest. The sound of the bear's pursuit grew louder, closer. Jack's heart raced in his chest, each thundering beat matching the sound of Thunder's hooves. Through the forest they ran, and Jack could feel the wind whipping past them. Every breath was a struggle as the storm raged around them, the trees bending under the force of the wind. But Thunder didn't stop. The horse's muscles were like steel, and Jack could feel the power in every stride. They raced toward the clearing at the edge of the forest, the path growing narrower as the trees closed in. Jack knew they were running out of time. He glanced over his shoulder and saw the bear gaining on them, its massive form just a few yards behind. "Come on, Thunder, just a little further," Jack shouted, his voice hoarse with fear. Thunder pushed forward, his hooves pounding the earth as he surged forward, breaking through the last line of trees and into the open field. The bear skidded to a halt behind them, its heavy form too large to follow through the narrow opening. Jack didn't stop. He urged Thunder on, racing toward the safety of the barn that lay just ahead. The rain was coming down in sheets now, but Jack didn't care. The bear was behind them, and they were free. When they finally reached the barn, Jack's legs were shaking and his heart was pounding in his chest. He dismounted Thunder, his body unsteady. He didn't know how long they had been running, but it felt like an eternity. Thunder stood beside him, his breathing heavy but steady. Jack reached out and placed a hand on the horse's neck, his fingers brushing through the wet mane. "You saved us," Jack whispered, his voice breaking with emotion. "You saved my life." In that moment, Jack realized something he hadn't fully understood before. Survival wasn't just about escaping danger. It wasn't about strength or speed. It was about resilience, about not giving up, even when everything seemed lost. Jack looked up at Thunder, the bond between them stronger than ever. The horse had carried him through the storm, through the fear, and now they stood together, having faced the wild forces of the world and come out on top. They had survived. Survival is not only about fighting the world. It's about finding strength in the things around you, the ones who stand by you, and the belief that you can make it through the toughest times. The true strength comes from within, and sometimes all you need is the courage to take the next step.